And we're back live with Brooke and myself on Sunday morning at 11:30, and we're discussing Dr. Mao's book, Live Your Ultimate Life. And we were on the chapter or section about your dreams and wishes, and this is all based on the 5-element personality theory. You find out what your basic element is, and Dr. Mao gives some guidance on how to plan your career and your finances and your personal life and so forth. And so we're doing wishes and dreams. Okay, now let's see. Last week I think we ended up talking about goals and so forth, and Dr. Mao talks about goals are the stepping stones to your dreams. And I'll just read a little bit of this, Brooke. He says, if your purpose is to shelter and protect your loved ones, and you are passionate and talented in carpentry, for example, you may dream of building a house. And then he says you must set goals, get a blueprint that shows all the steps necessary, and so that the goals have to include setting up little steps to whatever your eventual goal is. Okay, and so he says most people quickly throw in the towel, however, and to increase the probability of success, goals should be based on a deeper purpose or a passionate vision. And he says they must be realistic, bite-sized, so they are achievable, and must be matched with adequate resources, whether it's people, money, or circumstance, and also measurable. And we should be held accountable for meeting our goals, and the goals are building blocks of our dreams. Yeah, I can recall, of course, in my younger days, I had, lofty goals and not so much of a plan and not so much resources.
Yeah, and you don't want to do all the tiny little hard work that it takes to get up to the top.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, in our younger times too, we kind of felt, we're invincible, so nothing can go wrong, and I can remember in those days too, reading a lot of positive thinking books, and with the idea that, well, if you just think something, it will come true without any work on my part.
Yeah.
But of course, you have to, put some work in, because unless you're just lucky or fortune happens upon you, nothing's going to happen by itself. So anyway, so he's setting us up to set up some goals, and then he goes on to the importance of defining the why of your goals. Is there a radio or something going on there, Brooke? I'm hearing some kind of a background noise.
Is that better?
Yeah, okay, that's better. Yeah, I was hearing some kind of distorted talking or something. I couldn't figure it out. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so he says, like for example, he says one of the hardest goals for most people is to achieve losing a desirable amount of weight within a certain time. Weight loss may be the goal, but where people fail is defining the purpose of why they want to lose weight. So I think we might have talked about this a little last week, that you could say, well, my goal is to lose weight, when in actuality it might be better to say, well, I want to be healthier, or something more broad and useful, instead of just I want to lose 10 pounds kind of a deal.
So very, very true.
Yeah. So he says a goal of achieving better physical health and reducing heart disease would be a better way of looking at it. And so the weight loss turns out to be a secondary goal, while increasing your muscle and decreasing fat and cholesterol and boosting cardiovascular capacity is the primary objective.
Yeah.
So we kind of got to look at kind of an overall picture when we're looking at our goals instead of just some secondary thing. Okay, and then the next thing he says is you need to connect your goals to a personal mission. So if achieving weight wellness is your primary goal, you'll have more success by connecting it to a passion. So he says, for example, you have a passion in cooking. Well, challenge yourself to be innovative and go beyond the usual high-calorie comfort food and start, preparing some low-calorie, nutritious, and tasty recipes. So there's
Yep.
always like a change in behavior in a sense. In fact, some years ago, I kind of came upon the idea that you can't give up something. Say you have a habit that you want to, you think you want to give it up, like smoking or eating fatty foods or whatever. They say you cannot actually stop doing that. What you have to do is replace it with something else. So in Dr. Mao's case, he's saying, instead of just saying, well, I'm going to lose weight by, not eating cake or something. Well, probably it'd be better to substitute that cake with something else instead of just saying, I'm going to stop eating cake. Say, every time I feel like eating cake, I'm going to eat salad or, something that would taste good to you. So you always need to substitute something instead of trying to eliminate.
I kind of have been doing that for quite a few years now, either by trying to change my eating habits, and same thing, like if I was trying to cut out my sugar, like my refined and processed sugar, I would allow myself as much fruit as I could possibly eat, and I lost the weight that I wanted. Also, what I did was I always set myself some sort of physical goal. There was like where I wanted to do this one bridge run, which was 6.2 miles, and I just focused on, getting to that 0.2 miles at a comfortable speed. And of course, that equaled out to me losing weight while I was training. So same concept. Or I wanted to be able to do pull-ups, and I would inadvertently lose weight while I was trying to do pull-ups. So, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. One of my worst habits that I could not control for my whole life, basically, I used to bite my nails all the time till I was like probably 40 or so. It was just a nervous habit. I'd always bite my fingernails. So at about that same time, I came upon the idea of, because I'd always said, well, I'm just going to stop, and I never could. I just say, I'll stop today. Oh, I'll stop. Okay, but it never worked. So then I came on that idea of substituting. So what I did is I started carrying around a nail file, or nail clipper with a little file thing on the nail clipper. And so every time I had the urge to bite my nails, instead of biting them, I would take out the little nail file and just brush the nails. So it was like a substitution, because there was something to do with the feeling of, my fingers being touched or something. So being touched by the fingernail file seemed to do the trick. And so it really worked. I did that for a couple months, and the nail biting thing went away. Although from time to time, if I find myself like nervous or bored, I'll catch myself, starting to stick my finger in my mouth to bite a nail. So I just have to catch it. Generally, I've eliminated that, so it's just a matter of substituting. And then speaking of bite-sized deals here, Dr. Mao says, make your goals bite-sized. So make them realistic. Start with small changes instead of drastic changes that are usually unsustainable. And cut out only one ingredient that you, for example, in the food thing, cut out only one ingredient that you normally use in your food preparation instead of cutting out 10 things. So he's saying, for example, during the first week, maybe substitute olive oil for your usual butter. On next week, expand that to eliminating butter and incorporating other things. So you just gradually move into whatever the changes that you want to make are. Um,
You can do that in any aspect of your life, not just food or, I mean, any bad habit, like you said.
yeah, exactly. Yep. Okay, and then he goes on emphasizing again your element type of wood, fire, earth, and so forth. So understanding which type you are helps to assess your strengths and weaknesses. So if you're a fire personality, for example, you can use that uh, fiery, upbeat personality to help you make some changes. But on the other hand, you might tend to do things without thinking. You just do it, because it feels good or something. So if you're on a diet, you might slip very easily into eating stuff you were not trying to eat. But on the other hand, that strength would say, well, yeah, I know I've got this personality, so I'm just going to have to keep an eye on that and do some other things. So instead of eating, maybe you would say, well, let me get out and run around the block or whatever because of your fiery personality. Okay, and then he's talking about on undertaking any journey, be well prepared and have a good map, he says, and adequate resources and supplies. Uh, he suggests making a checklist of what you need, both materially and otherwise, in order to maximize success. So his checklist, he says, could include your strengths that will help you, your weaknesses and blind spots that may potentially hinder you. And of course, you would get a lot of those from just reading your personality type in his book. And then list your resources and the support you need. So maybe you need support from the family, maybe you need support from an investor, maybe you need support from your boss or employees. And then he says, check out the time and energy that you have to devote to it. So say you're starting a new job or a new hobby or whatever, you want to take a look and say, well, do I have time, or how much time do I have to devote to this new journey? Otherwise, you're going to get over your head maybe if you didn't figure out your resources. And then finally on his checklist, he says, check your risks and rewards. So say you're going to start a new business and you investigated businesses like that and found out that only 1 in 10 succeed. Well, then that would give you a clue that you need to have a reward that would more than make up for the 10% or the 90% chance of failing or 10% of succeeding. Or say you found a job that looks like 99% probability it's going to work out real well for you. You know, the benefits and the salary's good, you enjoy it. So everything is looking real good. So the only risk might be that there's very little risk. So you might want to, pull up stakes and move to another town to take that job because the risk would be very small in that particular one. So, and then also he says, make sure the goal is something you truly want to achieve, because from time to time I always have these dreams. Well, I want to be I wanted to be a orchestra conductor in my earlier days. Well, I might be a good music conductor, but there are so many others that are a lot better than me that I'm not sure that I really want to spend the years and years of study and practice and so forth to achieve that particular goal.
Yeah.
Okay, so he now goes on to leveraging your strengths in life is life surfing. With a quick paddle to catch the wave, the swell will naturally carry you when you're board some distance. So there's a sense of you want to catch that wave in your wishes and goals, and your element strength will give you some clues onto how that might happen because of the traits you have. or that you've cultivated through practice, he says. So, and he gives an example. Say the metal element, which is the methodical type, who's naturally organized and meticulous. So if your goal is to become a bookkeeper, you merely let your natural gifts and strengths shine through. So he says, write down your strengths and what you learned about your element from part 1 and unleash the inner surfer in you, he says. Have you had that kind of a feeling, Brooke, about doing some activity or some job that you just felt, wow, this is, I feel like I'm on a surfboard kind of, you just like sailing right through without any problems?
Yeah, it's been rare, but there have been times where I'm just like could not. So yeah, I think I would say that's when I'm really riding the waves, just like he said,
Okay, and he suggests in here to find a coach. You can maybe find somebody who's done what you want to do, and they can give you some hints and tips. So he says, seek out experts and ask for their advice.
Stop it! Stop! Oh, hold on a second. I'm sorry.
Okay.
My children have decided to be crazy. You too.
Okay. And I have a little mute thing here, so I can mute whenever I need to. So I just muted you there, by the way. Okay. Now let me see if I know how to unmute you. Gee whiz, I'm not sure I know what I'm doing here, Brooke. Let me see here. Oh, man. If I didn't mute you permanently, I can't figure out how to unmute you. Oh, boy.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. Yeah, now you're back. Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. My children decided they were tired of being quiet.
Yeah, right. Well, that's typical. Now I did lose your there you back. Okay, video went away for a second there, but you're back. Okay, now Dr. Mao goes on to say, use your time wisely. 2 things most people take for granted are time and energy. Okay, so and then he has a little spiel about watching TV, as a lot of us do. We just spend hours and hours watching TV when, if we have a goal to pursue, we could probably use that time better. He says the positive side of time is you can absolutely choose how to spend your time or make time for what matters to you, whether it's to engage in work or align with your life purpose or enjoy a leisurely activity or spend it with friends and loved ones. So we are the master of our own time, of course. It's just a matter of kind of paying attention to what we're doing and maybe asking ourselves, is this the best use of my time at this moment for whatever the goal is I'm trying to achieve. Okay, now he says, he talks about rolling with the punches, because obviously things don't always go as planned. So he says, don't get frustrated.
Yep.
Okay, he says, as long as you know your destination, there are multiple ways of getting into it. Just like you're driving along and maybe find a detour. Well, you just go around the detour. You don't stop and say, oh no, my life is ruined, I hit a detour. So it's just going around. Okay, and these plans are guidelines and not set in stone. So if they don't fit the circumstances, you can change them. And cultivate the ability to adapt to life's unexpected hurdles. He says the wood and metal personalities may in particular react negatively to unforeseen obstacles. And that's kind of easy to see. The wood personality is your kind of type A personality. So if you're like the boss and you're telling all your employees, well, we need you to sell 50 gadgets this week, and they don't do it, well, it kind of would upset the type A personality because he's had that outcome in his mind and it doesn't happen, so he gets a little upset. Same thing with the metal, which is the people that make the checklists and do everything logically. So if something happens that isn't quite in their checklist, they could easily get a little befuddled about it. So, so we have to, depending on our personality, we have to cultivate the ability to adapt to life's unexpected hurdles. And then don't lose sight of where you are going. Okay.
Sometimes that's a little bit more easier said than done.
Yeah, exactly. And he points out that he says humans thrived because of the instinctive ability to adapt. Other species have died out, and presumably it could be because they were not able to adapt to the changing environment. But humans have some sort of maybe more unique way of adapting to changes. And then he quotes John Lennon said, "Life's what happens while you're busy making other plans." So life changes, even though we're making plans, and it might not quite work out as we planned. Okay, then he goes to say, gather your life force energy. Dr. Mao says he sees patients who complain of tiredness or not having enough energy, and it's a challenge to achieve your dreams with a lack of energy or life force. Some people have depression, anxiety, apathy that affects the energy. And so, of course, being a healthcare practitioner, he's recommending to work with your healthcare people to discover the reason you have low vitality and work on restoring it for the sake of achieving your potential. Yeah, which kind of goes without saying, but sometimes we don't realize that if we're not feeling healthy, mentally or physically, it's really difficult to get kickstart ourselves because our health is the pressing thing. So, go to your practitioner if you're feeling there's something wrong and see what they can do. And then he's talking about the last page here. He has the imbalance within your 5 elements. So we all have the particular one element that is our primary one, like ours is the water one, and mine maybe is metal secondary. So he says any imbalances within the 5 elements can upset your energy. And then he's pointing out that each element is represented by a particular organ in your body. So wood is your liver network, for example. And you could get toxic overload and fatigue. The fire element is your heart network. So your circulating cardiovascular and heart circulation becomes inadequate. Earth element is the spleen and stomach, so we may have stomach problems if we're not balanced. Metal is the lung elements. You may have some respiratory problems if you're not balanced. And the water is the kidney and adrenal network that affects your hormonal functions. So you need to balance those 5 elements even though we have one primary personality element, and then he suggests, of course, for Chinese medicine, using special herbal supplements that balance out your various organs. And I have not yet finished mine. He had sent us some samples of the elemental herbs. I have not finished mine. I'm going to have to remember to. In fact, I stopped taking them there for a while because I was going to the dentist, and I thought I probably might stop that while I was doing the dental treatments. But anyway, I'm going to start up. Okay, anyway. So that's his take on wishes, hopes and dreams and wishes and goal setting and so forth. Any thoughts, Brooke?
I mean, this is one of those times where, to me, I read that and it just makes so much sense, and I don't understand why so many people struggle. It's like people will come to me and ask me for help to lose weight or things like that, and I try to tell them what to do, and then like they get sidetracked, frustrated, or own blocks, and I guess I get confounded. I feel bad. I just want people to be able to hear it as clearly as I do. So I mean, to me, it just seems so rhetorical, so easy to understand. But I know most people can't.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
that's absolutely, that's true. Because we're all subject to our habits that we've had for decades, and until we get our minds clear and in some sense even our physical bodies clear, it's difficult to make those changes. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, 'cause if somebody says something to us, like oh, well, so let's say somebody says to me, "Oh, it looks like you're putting on a little weight," and your mind automatically comes back with some pre-programmed thing. It might be an excuse. Well, you could say, "Well, I just went to a party last night," or "Oh no, I've been," you might argue, "Oh no, I'm just the same as I was last week." So we have these
Yeah.
pre-programmed things, which may or may not be true, but
Yeah.
our mind wants to react because we've reacted that way hundreds of times. So, it's
And
a matter of
we don't like being uncomfortable either. I mean, I find that's the biggest issue. I know I broke my foot, and I'm just now starting to get back into my routine, and it hurts. I'm not going to deny, how difficult things are, and I'm tired, and I'm sore. But, I, of course, understand that they'll go away because I've been through this. But I just watch, so we just don't like being uncomfortable. Having to force to be uncomfortable is not natural. I've learned.
yeah, right.
I think in anything, not just working out, in any aspect of my life.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think we covered a lot of stuff this morning, Brooke. Next week, it looks like he's going to start talking about the journey of your life, talking about breaking through fear and inertia, creating value, helping another person, and tips for the various elemental types. So we'll take that up next week, and I wish you and the kids a happy journey this Sunday morning. Yeah, glad you.
We're almost home.
All right, so good seeing you again, Brooke, and we'll hopefully see you again next Sunday at 11:30.
Not driving. Take care.
Okay, see you later. Bye-bye.